not to be distracted in terms of your goals and priorities that you want to achieve. And that means you must be making plans of what you exactly want to do. You must be having this in your mind, and then the strategies is what really remains or awaits you to make sure that you achieve whatever you would wish to achieve as we are moving on with this. And this is really something which at the end of the day, I feel you as the viewer also really should be in position to know as we get to move on. And so many things have happened this year, and if you really make reflections, you get to realize that Northern Uganda was blessed this year. I really want to say Northern Uganda was blessed this year. Why am I saying this? We had the opportunity of hosting the regional parliamentary sittings. This is one thing also which we did see where we were able to see Parliament be brought, that is Northern Uganda, and many people also really were able to share their thoughts about this. And this is something also really that left many people with questions of what exactly would happen. This was in the month of August. We were able to see this happening, where the first ever regional parliamentary sitting in this country was able to be conducted in Gulu City, Northern Uganda, and that happened on the 28th, and it ran for a period of 3 days, where we were able to see the House being chaired by Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Mong, and this attracted a number of parliamentarians from this country to be part of the discussions, and I was able to see members of Parliament from this region taking the floor of Parliament and really owning it. And this is the beauty of the regional parliamentary sitting, and something, of course, we shall be remembering 2024 with. But of course, we are saying we want to see more of this happening. Many people are talking about the monies, because if you look at the 4 sittings, at least each one of them was said to be costing billions. Many people have been talking about the billions, but really if you look at the billions and then assess it with the impact the region is supposed to be getting, I really want to say it is not unmatched in there, and that means we therefore must support it. Because if you look at the critics, they will be able to talk about the monies. What about the beauty, the benefits it is able to bring to the region is also something which we must also really put in consideration as we get to move on, because so many of this will be happening. And I want to really thank the organizers and the people behind also really this regional parliamentary sitting. Now the speaker also in this sittings dispelled misconceptions circulating amongst members of parliament and public, also really clarifying that these regional sittings are budget neutral, because the critics had been talking about billions, about 5 billion also that was allocated for each of this, which also really was not very much also really in consideration. And she was able to explain that also really Article 95 subsection 2 of the Constitution and Rule 17 of the Parliamentary Rules of Procedure among did go on to confirm that the regional parliamentary sittings are actually legal and procedurally sound, because many people had been talking about the legality and also really the budget expenses of this also. Now during the sittings, the speaker also led the MPs in observing a moment of silence for the lives lost and property destroyed at the Chitezi garbage landfill in Wakiso district, which is actually one of those issues that we shall be remembering this year, because if you look at the Chitezi landfill, this is something also which will definitely happen in this country, and we're able to see during this regional sittings. President Museveni also really was able to address the country on the 29th of August this year, and we're that happening because many people had been anticipating. And I really want to say, to me, the regional parliamentary sittings worked. I will be able to say that they worked, and we are now seeing the beauty as Northern Uganda that at first we never thought that this would be possible. And I really love the fact that it was first it was first brought to Northern Uganda. And we are looking forward to also to have more of these engagements. Maybe at one point, Arua City should be able to host the regional parliamentary sittings, because we are able to see people good enjoying. Businesses were booming. Hotels got enough money. The people in the transport sector were able to get money despite challenges of insecurity or security, because we were able to see every deployment, which was maybe the negative part. But of course, the positives were more than the negatives, in my own opinion and my own analysis, and we hope at the end of the day, this is something we shall be remembering the year 2024 with, because many people had been also talking about this, and I really hope at the end of the day that is something which also will be bring also the issues of maybe challenges Northern Uganda has been facing. Now the regional parliamentary sittings, so many people have been talking about it and looking at it as a waste of taxpayers' money, and this is something which we did see But of course, we're able to see the Speaker's leader, that is Speaker of Parliament, the Parliament leader, that is Speaker of Parliament, that's Right Honorable Anita Among, of course, clarifying on that these monies had been budgeted for, and that means we're able to see this happening. Now, 300 MPs attended plenary at Gulu sittings, and we're able to see a total of 310 out of the 529 members of Parliament. In this country, we are able to see out only 310 showing up, and that number is a bit not also really very bad. And we're able to see that also taking place at the maiden regional parliamentary sittings in Gulu, which also brought a number of people together. This was also where we were able to see a plenary also being held at Kaunda grounds in Badege Laibi division, which also is Martin Ojara Mapenduzi's constituency, and he was able to also do this very, very much well, where security was also really assured. In another list that also include those from the National Movement Party, the Forum for Democratic Change, and the Democratic Party, and National Unity Platform Party. Now the leader of opposition parliament, that is Joel Senyonyi, also really was not able to attend this, and also really some of the party members as well as absconded from this. Now almost all the MPs from Acholi, Lango, and Western Sub-region were present, and we were able to see these also gracing and raising challenges affecting the northern Uganda before these regional parliamentary sittings. Now the historical regional parliamentary sitting, of course, had its own challenges and also its own positives, but really I hope at the end of the day the positives must have surpassed the negatives. And speaking in Gulu City on Tuesday, Anita Among also defended the move by saying Parliament previously also prescribed generating also national solutions which failed to address unique sub-regional challenges. And now bringing Parliament closer at the regional level is really one thing that Parliament maybe looked at it as a way or as a strategy to raising and also addressing some of these challenges that could have faced these different countries. But of course, that is something which we shall be remembering this country for. And if you look at some of the issues also that maybe the year 2024 can be remembered for, definitely there were a lot of issues that happened this year, and we were able to see also the Chitezi landfill. This is another story which we may also not remember this year, where the tragedy also really was of a landslide at the garbage dump site in Chitezi, which is also in Wakiso district, and this happened on the Friday, the 9th of the year 2024, that killed almost 21 people, and others were buried in there, and now confusion also deepened, and this is also where we're able to see bodies being confirmed, where the total of people confirmed to be dead were said to be 34, and 11 others also went on missing in there. But the families and relatives of the deceased, most especially of those who were believed to be buried under the debris of the garbage, demanded for their bodies to be retrieved, and that is where we are able to see other bodies being retrieved beyond recognition, where DNA had to be conducted for the families to identify with their relatives in there. And that is something, of course, we did see, and we shall always remember the year 2024. And if you look at the 9th of August, this is truly remembered as a dark day, not only in Wakiso, not only in central Uganda, but in the entire country, because this was a story that went on viral. We were able to see the international community also raising concern about this. But of course, that happened. Many people were asking themselves of what could have happened in Chitezi. And I want to show you a large pile of garbage collapsed during a heavy rainstorm. Remember, this year we had a long period of also rains, coupled with the issues of climate change, where it had to rain up to December, which was really very much unusual, where at the time where people were expecting the long dry spell, we still had rains. That is also the impact of climate change, and that is something that we did see also causing havoc and causing loss of lives and property in Chitezi. But of course, we pray that such issues do not happen. And of course, this costed some people. Now, recently, we were able to see one of the top bosses, that the executive director of Kampala Capital City Authority, being replaced in that. I will be coming to that later on. But of course, so many things happened, and we're able to see a total of about 34 people being confirmed dead, and others were forced to leave their homes to reside in temporary shelters, which of course had its own negatives. And we're able to see some of these people coming out to raise their complaints to Uganda Red Cross Society, complaining about shortage of food, housing. All this is something that we did see But in response, we were able to see Uganda Red Cross Society providing tents for those in need, and government was able to give money to those people who also already lost their lives in this. Meanwhile, for those who got injured, government also was able to extend a hand for them, and we hope also really that this does not also really happen again, and that is something that we did see happening, because if you look at also the government support, government also really was able to also extend support, that is to the Chitezi landfill victims, and that is something that we did see happening also this year as we talk about these issues of the Chitezi landfill. The minister also really was able to move in there, that is Minister Lilian Aber, and she was able to deliver President Museveni's cash pledge, that is the injured persons in Chitezi landfill. Now the State Minister for Disaster, remember this is the entity that is responsible for looking out at the issues of disaster. That is where also we are able to see the State Minister for Relief, Disaster and Preparedness, that is Honorable Dr. Lilian Aber, was able to also donate money worth 18 million to 18 victims identified from the Chitezi also landfill that also caused havoc in there. And this was after a meeting where government was able to extend 1 million each to those people who were affected, and that is something we did see where people's houses were broken down. Others were forced to also reside in camps for a long period of time, and this is really something at the end of the day wasn't also good for them, most especially those people who were in Chitezi. This is sure not their year. They have lost their relatives, they have lost property, and many people are talking about this. We were able to talk about rumors. So many rumors were circulating about this issue of Chitezi, with others saying that somebody could have influenced this. But of course, that is something that we treat as a rumor, and we hope at the end of the day, government investigations must be conducted, because many of times when evictions are done like this, many people tend to think about so many issues in there, and that is something which we did see after the garbage collapsing, that is on the 9th of August, barring people and rescue efforts also were launched immediately, but unfortunately 21 people lost their lives, and this is something we did see where the numbers also were said to have risen up to 34. And that is something we did see where the rescue mission also had its own challenges. At one time we were able to see those operating the tractors complaining about the issues of lack of fuel. But of course, that is something we did see happening. And we really want to say, for you to avoid your year being very much bad, tonight is actually another big day, but we must celebrate with caution. In case you are planning to move out to places that you know are very safe, where the security is guarded. And if you talk about some of these places, I will be able to mention to you maybe where you should go out tonight. I will be letting you know that later on towards the end of the show. I will be letting you know. But of course, so many things were discussed, and we were able to see also really that happening. And if you look at also really some of the big stories that happened this year, we were able to see the march to parliament also happening, where the Gen Z group also were able to show that indeed they have powers. And in Uganda, we were able to see this being copped from our neighbors Kenya, and Kenyans really showed and shocked the world, and we were able to see Kenyans moving into parliament, where people took charge of parliament and demanded for the resignation of the president. And what followed? The president was able to fire the entire cabinet, and that is something that we did see setting up a precedent that is for the democracy of the Africans, because this was something that also really moved also really the world. Because if you look at the Gen Zs, or the Generation Z as they call themselves, these are young people who also really have been able to demand for a number of challenges. If you look at the youths, today majority of them are under the category of unemployed. Most of the youths actually under the category of being unemployed. And that is where many of times they also find very much difficult. But we hope at the end of the day that people also can be able to look out some of those issues and make sure that as we are talking about skilling, let the skilling also must come with maybe employment opportunities, because many of times we may be talking about skilling, but who are we skilling? Are the people who are skilling practicing, or are they applying what we are skilling them with? It is another question that we must also ask ourselves, and government, which also has mandate of skilling the young people, must also put that into consideration to ascertain the impact of these projects may be happening, because we have seen government commissioning regional skilling or industrial hubs. We have seen this happening. We have seen government doing this. But of course, how are we maybe feeling the impact? Is there any positive that this is bringing forward? Is another question definitely we must also ask ourselves as we get to move on. And this is something which at the end of the day we shall be seeing happening. But in Kenya, the Kenyans were able to shock the world, and we did see that happening. And many people are asking themselves why this is happening. Now there is also the protests in Uganda where youths marched to parliament, and many of them were also arrested and charged also with public nuisance, because at one time we were able to see ladies going nude as a result also of this, because they felt their demands are not being heard, and people also were able to move and reach that extent of wanting to go to parliament just with painted flags and putting on nothing. And that's something also which was very, very much historic in there, and many people were able to ask themselves, why would somebody's mother have this courage? But of course, that is entirely what happened, and we hope this year also will be remembered for that. In Arua City, we were able to see security foiling this. Of course, we were able to see the anti-graft protests in Arua City being foiled by security through heavy deployment, because the youths were planning to move, that is from their different places, and camp at the city hall over the issues of the rampant cases of corruption in this country. But what happened? We were able to see heavy deployment of the EPDF, Uganda Police, and other sister security agencies being deployed also to avoid and combat any format or any form of any attempt that is towards the march to parliament. And in Arua City case, it was also really the march to city council, and that was already very, very much brought, and the young people were able to express their concern, and we were able to see the world also hearing about the concerns of the young people in the city. And this is something which at the end of the day we shall be also making reflections on as we remember the year 2024. And if you look at this, definitely many people also will be maybe looking at some of the stories that happened this year. Both good and bad things happened. And if you look at also the Karuma Bridge, we were able to see Karuma also Bridge being closed. And many people have been able to talk about this, but recently we were able to see this reopening just before Christmas. Now government was able to reopen Karuma Bridge after a 3-month closure, and I really want to assure you that this is something that we must also really celebrate as people of northern Uganda, because for the last 3 months I was able to also really interact with some of the motorists during the closure. Bus owners whom I was able to interview raised concern that the routes have become longer, and yet the fares have remained the same. Many of them were actually complaining of losses, and that is why they asked government to expedite the process of working on the Karuma Bridge rehabilitation, and that is something which of course we did see happening. And I really want to assure you that within this period of time, government was able to do the work, and really this is something that excited also travelers, and now they have resumed the usage of this route because it had its own challenges. We were able to see night buses having challenges where people had to go and sleep on the way as they are en route to Kampala. They were able to face challenges with others getting stranded. But of course, now the normal also journeys are resumed, and now government reopened Karuma Bridge, a key infrastructure linking Kampala to northern Uganda and the neighboring South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And this is something also at the end of the day we want also to say that this, in one way or the other, ended the inconvenience of travelers. If you look at this Karuma Bridge, this is actually on a sub-Saharan road. It's a sub-Saharan road that connects not only the central part to the northern Uganda, but of course to the neighboring countries. When we talk about neighboring countries, we have Democratic Republic of Congo, we have South Sudan, we have the Central African Republic, which is not actually very much far away from that is northern Uganda. And this is actually one of those routes that connects us to that country in there. But of course, we're able to see government now finally recommissioning, that is also the usage of this bridge. And now the bridge was on September 23rd closed, that is traffic, to allow its rehabilitation. And this also costed about 11 billion Ugandan shillings after also it was also said to have developed cracks. And weekend calling for rehabilitation because it had lived past its long time. And we also very, very much reliably informed that government has plans of working on a better bridge. This is something which we hope at the end of the day will be very much good. Now on Friday, to and from buses and light also vehicles plying the Kampala-Gulu Highway started also passing via the 61-year-old bridge, because this bridge was actually constructed just a few years after Uganda getting independence, and now it's 61-year-old and Uganda is already aging. And on the 9th of also October, that's when we shall be celebrating Uganda's birthday, and we always do that. And next year we look forward to also celebrating that, and with also more achievements. And if you look at this is something also really we shall be remembering, also the Karuma Bridge. What about Pakwach Bridge? That also we're able to see flooding also causing havoc and leaving us stranded, and that which we did see happening. But of course at the right time also we shall be also looking forward to that. And UNRA was also said to build a temporary bridge in Pakwach, and we are looking forward to that, because the Pakwach Bridge had its own challenges, and we were able to see UNRA diverting motorists as flooding was able to disrupt access to Pakwach Bridge. And this is something which we did see, and we hope at the end of the day many people replying. That is the Tangi Junction on the Olio Pakwach, also near Pakwach Bridge, and we were able to see the bridge broken down. And this is one thing also which we shall be remembering in the year 2024. And if you look at November, this is when we had also the challenges, because in that period we were able to a lot of also the rains, and many of the water bodies across the entire country were said to be also developing also rising water levels, to the extent that those who reside along the shores of different water points were all submerged, and flooding was able to eat up people's homes. And now flooding at Tangi Junction on the Oluyo Pakwach Road near, that is Pakwach Bridge, crippled also connectivity between Arua, Gulu and Kampala and the Uganda National Roads Authority, which is now defunct. Also most parts of the country has been receiving heavy rainfall for the past also last few days, with Wednesday's precipitation that also started and also caused a lot of issues. And diverts also were able to take place. And if you look at diverts, for those who had been passing via this Tangi also Park Road, they were required to pass over through Masindi Ferry. These are its own challenges. At one time, the numbers of vehicles became overwhelming. People also had to wait. People had to spend days, maybe hours, that is at the Masindi port, because the ferry will not be able to move each and every time people come. There were specific times when the ferry was required to move, and definitely with the opening of Karuma. And I really want to say now, no more operations of the ferry have resumed, in my own opinion. And we hope at the end of the day also we shall be seeing this happening. And this is something which at the end of the day we shall be remembering the year 2024. And we hope at the right time we shall be seeing that happening, and we want to see this also, of course, moving on very, very much well. And we want to sort of look at some of the stories happening. I will be giving more of the reflections on the year 2024, but you as the viewer still can be able to share your thoughts and opinions on what story you felt was very, very much bigger for you in the year 2024, and of course what you will be remembering 2024 for, which is that big story that you definitely won't maybe forget. Is another story that we shall be remembering the year 2024 for. And we look forward to having that, and we will be definitely looking forward to that. And we want to see how, of course, this will be ending. And I really want to say that I want to ensure that you definitely also already is in place to make sure that definitely nothing bad or nothing wrong happens to you in these remaining hours of the year 2024. You can share your thoughts and share your opinions in relation to maybe what story caught your attention in the year 2024. It can be a good one for those also who achieved, because there are people who bought cars this year, there are people who got better jobs, there are people who got girlfriends, there are people who got boyfriends. This is surely their year, as we say it, my year. But definitely for those also whose maybe year was very much bad, who lost their dear ones, because we lost a number of people during this year. Prominent ones were lost this year. We will be touching on some of the people who whom the country was able to lose this year later on. But of course, as we get move on, so many things have happened. More of that also will be coming through later on. And as we get move on, so many things happened, and I really want to assure you that we're able to see issues of money, and this is where honorables were also really being pinned. That is for taking money, and this was a story that kept us for a long period of also really times, and we're able to see members of parliament led by Matthias Impuga in trouble with also the other colleagues over issues of taking money as bribes in there. And this is something also really which we did see happening, and this story is actually another story that kept us talking for days, and that is something which we did see many people also talking about raising concern as the service award. Now Mpuga's shillings 500 million service award was in national budget, and court came out to clarify on that, and that is something which we did see happening. But of course, many people had been talking about this, and this is where people allocated 1 billion for themselves, and this is something that also really caused problems, and many people were able to talk about this, and this also really caused challenges. We were able to see also really a number of people also talking about this, and I really want to say members of parliament like Esther Foychan from that's Zombo and Matthias Mpuga, not forgetting Solomon Sirwanyi, also were in trouble for this year, and many people had been talking about them also when it comes to the issues of that is the service award and the controversy also that surrounded this, and we were able to see now court declaring that this money was actually legal, with many people already rejecting that. But of course, that is something which we did see happening, where monies worth 400 million was taken by some colleagues, where the biggest was 500 million Ugandan shillings, and this caused the troubles. I will be touching on that later on, but for now we are going to take a short commercial break, and I really want to say, which story will you be able to remember 2024 for? Which is that story? You can share your thoughts and opinions on our comment section on Facebook and on YouTube. We are in there. You can as well go to our Twitter or X handle right now and tag us. I will be still checking through and see how maybe your year is coming to an end. And the biggest story that also came to your also really attention this year, and I will be touching on them today, is just surely dedicated to making reflections on the year 2024. For now, we are running for a short commercial break. When we get back, I will be touching on some of those stories later on. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
out for StarTimes Solar to unwrap your lighting and entertainment experience this Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
At only 700 shillings daily charge, get yourself a StarTimes S50 that comes with lighting, phone charging, strong lithium battery, radio with a flash port and a Bluetooth speaker. For more entertainment needs, get yourself a StarTimes S130 that comes with an extra 32-inch TV screen and 2 years free StarTimes subscription. StarTimes Solar, more than just solar. Unwrap your holiday cheers with StarTimes this Christmas season. Starting the 15th of November, simply pay your monthly subscription for the next bouquet and automatically enjoy content on the next higher bouquet, plus a chance to win exciting prizes. Your gift box contains variety of local entertainment and fresh shows, exciting cartoon and fun kids entertainment, mega superstars, local and international, a memorable trip to Spain to watch a La Liga match. And that's not all. Lots of prizes to be won, including ZTE Nubia smartphones with free 15 GB Airtel data. StarTimes gift that keeps on giving. Merry Christmas! This message is powered by ZTE Nubia. Better for all.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Well, as we are talking about the year 2024 coming to an end, and as the time is ticking, and today happens to be the 31st, and surely this wasn't the best year for the football fraternity, as we lost one of the prominent footballers in the names of Agao Rashid, who also happens to be my OB from St. Joy's College Ombati, and surely many people were able to eulogize this lad as a friendly person, as somebody who's calm, and as somebody who's down to earth, and this is something that surely showed the class of Agao Rashid, the former player of Maroons Football Club, Ondoparaga Football Club, and this is something also that we did see happening on the 24th of August. Surely this year wasn't good for the football fraternity, and we lost Agao Rashid, and many people really were able to describe the character as humble person, but of course we are now looking forward to maintaining his legacy. Recently we were in Midigo during the Sierra Conservation Tournament, and we did see one of the awards channeled and also really put in the legacy of Agao Rashid, and the MVP award was already in there named Agao Rashid. And this year we shall be seeing also really come the 18th of January, we shall be seeing a game in the memory of Agao Rashid, who died this year. That means we do not want to forget the name Agao Rashid because of his character. And this goes to the footballers. How do you relate with the people? How do you actually be with the people around you? That is something at the end of the day we want to remember. If are you going to be that one person who is going to be remembered as one who is proud? Because many of times this is what many of us are not for. But we are saying that shouldn't be the case. You must be remembered as a calm person, as somebody who is down to earth, just like Agao Rashid, and his character is surely worth being emulated by the rest of the young players, and that's why on the 18th of January, all roads will be leading that to Greenlight Stadium. That's the home of Kokoliriko Football Club. His former employers for the match, also in memory of also Agao Rashid. And this game will be between West Nile Province and Acholi Province, and we are going to be part of also this game. And I really want to say that in case you will be looking for me on the 18th, I am going to be at the Ababite Greenlight Stadium for this game, and that means you also really, as the viewer, must not also really be anywhere but at Greenlight Stadium because of the character of this young man who died in his 30s. Very much young, very much talented, because if he wasn't also really on pitch, he's one person who made his maybe skills speak for him. And that is one thing always Agao Rashid is always remembered for. And if you interact with the sport pundits in this West Nile sub-region, surely they will be able to tell you that Agao Rashid is one person who never talked much. But when he is in the pitch, he allowed his skills, he allowed his art, he allowed his talent speak for him. That is something that also really talked Agao Rashid. And off the pitch, he was meaning his normal business. He was somebody who also really was meaning business, a family head and a father to his own siblings, and that is something at the end of the day Agao Rashid is always being remembered for. And we're able to see also really after a short illness of many posts talking about hepatitis, he was able to also really die this year also really, and that is something at the end of the day we shall be remembered in the year 2024 for, and we look forward also to having more Agao Rashids because of his character, because this is one person definitely, if you remember the Kids League, as a young boy the name Agao was always common. When I reached secondary, the name Agao was always in my ears, and I always wanted to see who Agao is. I always wanted to interact with him, and I was able to also meet him for the very first time after a long period of time on the streets, and he was able to also really connect with me very, very much well in there. And just like him, we want to see more Agao Rashids. It means your character is very, very much also determinant for you to also be remembered in the way he was remembered. The general spoke for himself at Ababet Greenlight Stadium. The fans turned in numbers. Even fans who would not support the Kokoliriko Football Club were able to come because of Agao Rashid, a former player who played for the Kokoliriko Football Club. He happened to have played for Maroons Football Club, and above all, for West Nile Province. That is something also at the end of the day we shall be remembered in the late for, and want to pray to God that may Allah grant him Janatul Firdaus. And as Muslims, that is one thing we always pray for at last, because there's nothing more we can do. Always they say dua is what also really we always extend out for, and that is something of course we want to also really extend to our brother Agao Rashid, who died this year, and this year will also be remembered for that. And that is something we did see happening. And of course, many other people died as well. We were able to lose Cecilia Ogal, and also really this is something also that many people were able to also really talk about this year in there, and many people died. And if you look at also some of the deaths that we witnessed this year, Cecilia Ogal, the first also beauty pageant winner, was also really confirmed dead this year, and this happened also really on 18th of January 2024, and she died from India. And the lady was also born, that is on the 12th of June in the year 1946, and we were able to lose Cecilia Barbara Atim Ogwal, who was a Ugandan politician, businesswoman, and management consultant, and she was the member of parliament for Dokolo district, representing the women in that district in there, and she was one of those vibrant or vocal politicians in the opposition, also already bench in there. And many people who know Cecilia Ogwal definitely will remember her as the Iron Lady, and she died this year. And of course, she also really is one person definitely you wouldn't also really want to miss out this year to talk about, as the year is coming to an end. And if you look at the year 2024 in focus, definitely these are some of the prominent people also who died in this country, and definitely you will be able to remember them for. What about Joseph Tamale Mirundi? Is also another name that died this year. Definitely, many people will be able to remember him for his humorous comments on issues of politics, on issues of social life. Definitely, if you remember Joseph Tamale Mirundi, definitely also you will be knowing also who he was when it comes to making his comments. Definitely, he was able to die this year, and we were able to see the Ugandan journalist and author dying this year. That was on the 13th of August 2024 in Kasubi Hospital in Kampala, India, and she was born on the 30th of June in the year 1964 in Rakai in Uganda. And that is something which we did see, where the former presidential press secretary also really died this year in there. That means we shall remember in the year 2024 for some of these prominent names also that died this year in there. And many people also described Tamale Mirundi as also really one person who was candid, who was also really humorous, and definitely that is where many people also will be remembering the prominent journalist and the former presidential press secretary and the senior presidential advisor on media as an outspoken show media commentator who passed on, that is on the 13th of August at the age of 60 years. And known for his fearless political commentary and sharp wit, Mirundi was one of Uganda's most polarizing yet respected voices. Mirundi died, that is also out of lung cancer. Lung cancer was able to also really take the life of Joseph Tamale Mirundi around 11:40 p.m. That is in Kisubi Hospital, where he had been receiving treatment after being admitted for a long period of time in there. And that is something which we did see. And many people have been talking about Joseph Tamale Mirundi this year. And that is something also that we shall be remembering this year for. And if you look at this year and focus, so many things happened. Very many things happened, and definitely you wouldn't also want to miss out on some of those in there. And he was laid to rest in his ancestral home, that is in Rakai. And definitely we shall be remembering also him for also being that humorous person. What about also this Minister Sarah Mateke? He's another person that we also lost this year in there, and definitely we were able to see the minister also really dying. And Sarah Mateke also was one person who died this year, and we shall be also remembering her among also the names that also died this year. And Parliament was able to pray for the foreign minister, that is Mateke, in there, and we were able to see Parliament also held, that is a pre-funeral service for the former district woman representative for Kisoro, Honorable Sarah Mateke, who died, that is on Saturday 7th of September 2024 in Kampala. And the Archbishop of Church of Uganda, Stephen Kazima Mugalu, who led the service, acknowledged the pain felt by the family and the nation at large for the loss of this vibrant lady. Now, prior, she served as Minister also for State for Gender, Labor and Social Development, where she was later moved to another ministry. And Prime Minister Robin Nabanja conveyed President Museveni's message, where Nabanja reflected on Mateke's profound impact as a leader, describing her as a devoted servant of God and of course as a passionate advocate for the welfare of children. And that is something which we did see happening, where Richard Tudong, the Secretary for also NRM, was able to also really come out and talk about also really some of those issues and delivered a tribute reflecting on her significant contributions both to the party and the nation. And that is some of the issues that also really we were able to see happening. And Mateke was serving as also the minister in the defense, also the docket in there, and many people were able to also remember for that. And if you look at the by-elections, definitely we were able to see also the confusion being exhibited within the NRM also caucus. And that is something which we did see happening, where at one point people also really were rallying behind the independent, who actually might that's the winner, and others, most especially other supporters of the ruling NRM, were rallying behind the party candidates. So many issues also came out as a result of that, but we were able to see the daughter, that is to Minister Mateke, emerging as the winner after losing the primaries. And many people also came out to also really look out maybe and talk about the issues surrounding the elections also really in this country. And of course that is something which we did see happening, and we shall be remembering the year 2044, and many people also definitely would also want to see how, of course, the year 2024 ending in there. Now, Grace Ngabirano was able to win Kisoro Woman MP by-election, and Ngabirano was also appointed in there from the family in there. And now, Archifeza Grace Ngabirano was declared the Woman MP of Kisoro, and that is something which we did see happening in there, because many people had been talking about a lot of issues, and many people already had been talking about these Kisoro elections, taking the discussions, and we did see that happening. But of course, we were able to see Grace Ngabirana Chifeza, an independent candidate, garnering about 50,459 votes, where the closest opponent, that is also really Kabagenyi Rose of NRM, emerged second with 44,982 votes. Meanwhile, the third person in these elections also really was Zubedi Sultana Salim of the National Unity Platform Party, who was able to garner 903 votes. Meanwhile, other candidates that followed were Ingabire Mebo of the UPC, who garnered 362 votes. Meanwhile, the last person was Chimpaye Aisha, who was able to garner 157 votes. And that is something we did see happen in Kisoro. And of course, it also really showed some of the issues within some parties. And of course, we don't want to also go in depth in that, but we shall be remembering also that year for that also happening. And many things also happened definitely this year, and we shall be remembering this year also for some of those issues. And definitely both good and bad, we also want to pray that entirely it must have been a good year to you, the viewer. In case it was not maybe a good year to you, let's pray that 2025, which is just a few seconds away from now, it should be a good year to you. We must make sure that the year 2025 should be a better one. If at all you have not been prospering in terms of wealth, let it be a year of good health. I pray it is a year of good health, a good year of wealth for those who have been looking for women, for those who have been looking for husbands. Let it be a good year. Definitely 25 is actually not very far from now, and we must pray and make sure that it is actually the good year for us. And to the Manchester United supporters, definitely I know this is not your year. This is not your year. There's no doubt. Both Manchester United and Manchester City, this is not their year. And as we get move on, so many things, of course, have already been set. And with that, we want to slowly come out to the end of the discussions. But of course, now let's see what is happening in the world of sports this morning. And the question is, what story made your year 2004? Before I get signed out, you can still rush out to our various handles. For those who are watching us via Facebook, drop the message in there. I will be in position to check through. Meanwhile, for those who are watching us on YouTube, you can as well drop your message in there, and I will be able to look through it later. Meanwhile, for those who are also really accessing us via the X handle, you can still tag us, and we will be in position to also see your message. And that is how, at the end of the day, we shall be able to share with the rest of the viewers. And this is something we did see happening. And definitely, we shall be seeing also really how, of course, the year 2024 is coming to an end. And definitely with that, we come to the end. But of course, if we look through some of the results in the world of soccer, it is always key, because work without play makes Jack a dull boy. So we want to summarize the entire discussions with what's happening in the world of sports. Look at the world of sports, starting it off right from the big league. Many games are already coming up. We shall be seeing the leagues returning on the 5th, which is just some few days ago. And if you look at the 5th, we are just saying 5 days. We shall be seeing Buhimba returning in action with Karo Karunji. Busoga United will be hosting a Royal Hill Sports Club. That's still on the same day of 5th. We shall be seeing Boma being hosted by Gaddafi, as Maida will be taking on Kataka, and Tungasaze will be up in actions against Black Power, and Onupaka Football Club will be at home hosting, that is the Chinda Boys, still on the 5th. Meanwhile, on the same date, we shall be seeing Paida Black Angels hosting Chigezi Homeboys, and the games, of course, will be pausing, and they will be returning on the 8th with more games already in there. And this is where we want to see how the standings of the 4 big league look like as we are entering into a new year. Our teams from Northern Uganda, I want to show you they're doing well with Gaddafi topping the league with 23 points. Black Power from Lira is in second place with 23 points, as Onupaka Football Club for Arua City is in third place with 19 points, not a bad position for them. And Buhimba are in the 4th place with 19 points, as Calvary Midigo are in the 5th place with 18 points, and Boma are in the sixth place with 16 points, as Chiinda Boys sit on the 7th position with 16 points. In the 8th position is the Black Angels with 13 points, and in the 9th position is Karo Karunji with 13 points still. Kataka sit on the 10th position with 13 points still, as Chigezi Homeboys are sitting on the 11th position with 12 points. In the red zone, we do have Ntunga Saze sitting on top of the red zone with 12 points. Arrow Hill Sports Club in the 13th position with 10 points, and Busoga United are sitting in the second last position with 8 points. Meanwhile, the last team on the log is Maida, which is also another sad story for them in there, and that is how the 4 big league looks like. Meanwhile, in the Southern Uganda Premier League, many people will be talking about some of the games, and yesterday we had a game. We had a game that was between Mbarara City and Wakiso Giants, which of course was settled in a goalless draw. And we did see also just 2 days ago, and we were able to see a number of games being played. And these games will be returning on the 2nd of January, which will be Thursday this week, as Maroon Sports Club will be up in action against Mbale Heroes, and Police will be taking on KCA, and that is how we shall be seeing the Southern Uganda Premier League returning, and definitely more of that detail will be coming through on the Whistle Time with Owen Ezaga and Linda Suzy from 2 to 3 p.m. But of course, before we get to move on, last night we had a game, another misery on the wounded team already, and we are still seeing their struggles and their suffering continue, and we're able to see Aston Villa settling for a 2-2 draw with Brighton, as Ipswich did go on to beat Chelsea. What happened to Chelsea this time round after proving that indeed they are title contenders? They lost to Ipswich Town by 2-0. Manchester United lost 2-0 to Newcastle, and that brings us to the end of the show for today. I want to really say that it's already the very last edition of the show for this year, and come tomorrow we shall be in a new year that will be 2025, and I really want to wish whoever also really loves sports, and for those who are sitting in those different positions, definitely you will be sitting on them until next year. To the Manchester United fans, definitely I want to also pray for you that next year should be a fruitful one. It should be a good year, as well as a prosperous year for you, and that means we shall be seeing a lot of celebrations happening. But with that, we come to the end of the show for this year. My name is Farish Majid. Have a blessed morning, and I really want to wish you happy 2025. I'm out until next year. Have a good day.